I'm just gonna start off by saying if I seem a little nervous, I am. Because I know what many of you are thinking. This girl, my client, Alex, is sloppy, careless, maybe even a little to blame. And I know you're thinking this because I started out thinking the same thing. I mean, frankly, I didn't get it. Back in my day, if somebody tried to kiss you in a closet, sounded like a Tuesday. In fact, we had a code name for bosses who liked to cop a feel. Pants, as in wear them. I guess we were just a little tougher back then. You know, no trigger warnings. We just played cards with the hand we were dealt. No big deal. At least that's what I thought. And then I remember Greg. At least that's what I'll call him here. Greg was a big shot lawyer when I was just starting out, and he'd make these silly comments. Maybe Maddie should sleep with opposing counsel to win, stuff like that. And then one night, I was working late, and I went to the break room to get a coffee, and, well, without getting into too much detail, he crossed the line. So I went home, and I told my husband what happened, sort of. What I said was, Greg got fresh with me. And man, those 5 words did a lot of work. But I was fine, and we even laughed about what a buffoon he was. And then we decided that I'd just stay out of his way. That's what I did. Easy peasy. And then I made decisions like, don't focus on litigation, because that's what Greg specialized in. So I hid. I decided that drafting contracts made me happy. You know, it's funny. It seemed like a small thing back then. Completely subverted my dreams. Which isn't small at all, is it? Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, my initial judgment of Alex came from my bias. Because I'm from a different generation, I assumed things about her, things that were not true. You know what is true? Alejandra Ramos is incredibly hardworking. She loved her job. She was good at it. And she should have been able to continue doing it. And the reason she couldn't was Jeremy Brooks. And I want to leave you with one last thing. I know one of our big questions is why Alex waited so long to report what Jeremy Brooks did. But you see, I don't think that's the real question at all. Because that question answers itself, doesn't it? I mean, we all know what happens to whistleblowers, and it ain't pretty. I mean, sometimes they even have intimate tapes shown in public courtrooms. The real question is how bad must it have been for Alex to risk everything and finally report it?
Nice closing, counselor.
Has the jury reached a verdict?
We have, Your Honor. But first, we have a question.
Go ahead.
Can the jury award more than the plaintiff has requested?
Wait for it. Wait for it. $9 million!
Oh, if I didn't know any better, I think we were coming friends.
We're not. We're just colleagues who occasionally dance over their $9 million.
Your Honor, I'd like to admit Warden Nicola Caruso as an expert witness. She's been a warden at 3 institutions and has a stellar track record.
Mr. Willis, any objections?
None from me, sir. I agree, Warden Caruso is an expert in her field.
Thank you. Miss Caruso.
Oh, Mrs.
Mrs. Caruso, I'm sorry. You were hired to make significant changes at the institution. Did you have success?
I did. I changed the culture of the prison, and I'm proud of that.
But you kept some of the personnel from the prior warden, correct?
No one connected to the case.
To be clear, were you in charge when Katya Novick alleges her abuse took place?
No, I was not at the prison yet, so we never crossed paths.
Never crossed paths, meaning you never met her.
That's right.
Well, Katya has been doing very well since her release, or so she had been. She even has a job now, working at a nail salon, until she had a very bad day.
Objection, where's the question?
Apologies. Have you had a manicure recently?
I think it's pretty clear I haven't.
Objection, relevance?
Getting to it. Your Honor, I'd like to submit into evidence Exhibit 225B. Mrs. Caruso, do you recognize that woman? Here, let me help you. You have an identical birthmark to the one in this footage. We saw it earlier when you held up your hand. But you said you didn't know Katya. Didn't get your nails done?
I plead the fifth.
You knew Katya had a history of drug abuse.
Objection,
And
Your Honor.
You purposefully triggered her so that she could be more inclined to buy from the dealer you arranged to visit, didn't you?
I plead the fifth.
That's okay. You could plead the fifth. But I want your opinion. As an expert witness, why would someone working to rehabilitate the prison system want to discredit a witness who was harmed by the old system?
Objection, Your Honor.
What grounds? You agreed to have her admitted as an expert. Mrs. Caruso, you need to answer.
I imagine that someone may have thought that the settlement money could do more good if it went back into the system where it could pay for programs to rehabilitate prisoners, fund more educational programs, instead of paying out one drug addict who chose to say yes.
A drug addict who chose to say yes is not disposable. She is still a person who deserves dignity and respect. What if it were your child?
Eyes from Afar is no different than the soapbox at the town square. This is where citizens come to speak their minds, to warn their neighbors of potential danger. These photos are a sacred form of free speech. Deny the plaintiff cease and desist to preserve that soapbox and whatever's left of the First Amendment.
Counselor, hard act to follow.
Oh, don't underestimate Miss Matlock. We faced off before. This woman's a shark.
What? No, I'm not.
Well, I'm allowed to say that, and you're allowed to deny it. It's all free speech.
That's clever. I like that. I'll accept it, Your Honor, because I believe in free speech too. And yes, I'm asking you to limit it here, but that's not without precedent when the harm is substantial.
We're not talking about terrorism here, Your Honor. These are just concerned parents and caretakers who are just trying to keep their children happy and safe.
Which is exactly what my client was doing, keeping one of their kids from running out into the middle of the street.
Not according to these photos.
Which were taken out of context.
Even so, the potential for harm doesn't even come close to justifying censorship.
Judge, you have to look at these photos like a mugshot. Maybe for something minor, maybe even something you didn't do. But that doesn't matter, because that one moment captured on camera screams criminal to every job interviewer for the next 40 years. A photo like that isn't just speech, it's a scarlet letter branding you undesirable, untrustworthy, and unemployable for the rest of your life.
Well, I understand the shark comment now. Miss Matlock, I love my sister, but my nephew's a moron and deserved everything he had coming. Motion denied. And not many people know that story, so tell Olympia Lawrence I said hello.
Mr. Lambert, Irv, thank you for responding to the subpoena. Are you familiar with the term union busting?
Objection. Relevance?
Can't be relevant until he answers.
Overruled. But get there quick.
Mr. Lambert, are you familiar with what a union buster is?
I mean, vaguely.
It's a person hired by companies to identify employees engaged in unionizing efforts and derail them.
Where's the question?
No question. I'd like to submit Mr. Lambert's employment history, detailing 9 companies he's worked at in the last 5 years. All of them had employees trying to unionize, and they all had a failed union vote before he left.
Objection.
To facts? Also submitting proof that each company paid large sums of money to the same consulting firm. An LLC registered to Irv Lambert. Now here's the question. Mr. Lambert, are you a union-busting consultant?
I guess you can call it that.
I will. And in that capacity, were you pretending to be a dispatch manager at SteadTrack when you were really a mole gathering intel for the company on union efforts?
More or less.
Then, when you realized my client, Sam, was the leader of the union movement and the vote was likely to pass, you targeted her by stealing her truck and framing her?
Absolutely not. I mean, that's extreme.
Then how come the last known location of Sam's earbuds, which were in the truck when they were stolen, matched your home address?
Maybe the thief drove past my house or threw them in the trash nearby.
Maybe. Problem is, there's one other thing that points to you. Sam had her first prenatal ultrasound appointment the day before the truck was stolen. Didn't tell anyone at work. But those ultrasound photos were in the truck when it was taken. You and I spoke at a bar when you were still pretending to be Irv, the dispatch lead, and I was trying to get you to be a witness, remember?
Sure.
Did you mention seeing her ultrasound photos with me?
Objection. Opposing counsel can't be an impeachment witness.
Obviously, but I can call an impeachment witness. If only there was someone else who could corroborate what you said to me. Care to revise that statement? Or do you want to add perjury to the list of charges you're racking up?
Fine. I took the truck.
Why?
Sam was organizing a union. I needed to give the company a reason to fire her. That was supposed to be the end. Although she hired you and wanted her job back.
And you knew she'd get right back to her union organizing activities. So you planted evidence in her locker to frame her for the theft.
I did. Yeah.
No, I don't believe someone else was using Zoe Santos's ID. I checked it myself. I'm very careful.
But there's no surveillance footage at the liquor store?
Our cameras aren't working, no.
That's too bad. Entered into evidence this report detailing dozens of violations your store received in the last year for selling to minors using other people's IDs. No further questions, Your Honor.
Mr. Park, your witness.
Sorry, Your Honor. I was riveted by that report. Now, it does appear that the liquor store is pretty loosey-goosey. Mr. Kane, do you have a unique clerk ID number that you have to enter for every sale?
I do. 442.
Got it. So here's that same list of citations cross-referenced with clerk ID numbers. Can you tell me if any of those sales correspond to yours, 442?
No.
So you were not the clerk on shift for any of those illegal sales?
No. Like I said, I'm careful.
Thank you, Mr. Kane. Your witness, Miss Lawrence.
Steph, you said on direct that Zoe likes to embarrass people.
Yes, that's true.
Did she embarrass you by giving you a strike in front of the whole sorority for a missing pearl in your Chi Sigma Pi bracelet?
Yeah, I cried. A lot. Kennedy was the one who helped me get through it.
The same Kennedy who ran and lost to Zoe for chapter president last fall?
Yes.
How old are you and Kennedy?
I'm 19 and Kennedy is 20.
So neither one of you are old enough to legally purchase alcohol. You'd have to use somebody else's ID.
Yes, but I didn't.
You said Kennedy made you feel better. How did she do that?
She took me out for froyo. She blasted Destiny's Child because I love the oldies. And she switched bracelets with me. So that the next time we have inspections, I'd pass.
Again, because your bracelet was missing a pearl.
Yes.
This is a photo, which has already been admitted, taken that night of the party. The photo was live, and we noticed something in the background. We can see there is clearly a missing pearl. So, is that your hand reaching into Zoe's drawer to put back her ID, or Kennedy's?
I'm not sure.
No, let me help. So the matching pajamas that you and Kennedy wore that night for the big little reveal was monogrammed. L for little, and what was the other letter?
B. For big.
B for big. So Kennedy stole the ID and bought the slammed.
Objection!
But Zoe had no idea what Kennedy had done and gave the cup to Violet.
Your Honor!
Want to tell the judge that you're dropping the charges, or should I? Thanks for coming back. Ms. Den, you testified that you chose the tiger mascot on the slam can by conducting focus groups of adults in their 20s through 50s, correct?
Yes.
But when it came to what type of tiger, you tested them at off-the-books parties that you failed to turn over during discovery. Is that correct?
Yes, but
And those parties apparently had high schoolers.
with fake IDs.
Yes or no?
Yes.
Here is the tiger that you were testing at those parties. It looks pretty mean and scary, doesn't it?
It's a more aggressive tiger, yes.
Yeah, I see. But this is the tiger that ended up on the can by the time Slammed made it to market. Way more friendly. What changed in the period of time between these two cans?
It was so many years ago. I'm sure it was just rounds of revisions from art department, internal conversations, that kind of thing.
No new focus groups?
Not that I can recall.
You have a focus group for every other marketing decision. So I find it very, very odd that there's no focus group for this one.
There was not a slammed focus group before the tiger change, no.
I agree. But do you know what my team found when they were going through the rest of the discovery that you failed to turn over? A different focus group that your company sponsored to test a sports drink for kids. And this focus group was made up of 14-year-olds. Admitting this into evidence, I'm sorry, it's late again. They hid it.
So, how many of you would like this on your sports drink? Okay, and this one? Wow.
And when was the date of this focus group?
In March 2022.
After this focus group, you changed the tiger, didn't you? Because you were targeting children, trying to get them hooked as young as 14. Make them customers for life.